Hey everyone, so I am back with another deck profile video. So I frequently make decks ahead of time, or if I'm um, just interested in making decks, I often go onto digimoncard.io and then I just keep making decks. So in this case, I'm making a deck for BT10. So I'm making a fairy vegetation deck. So if you haven't seen the spoilers in BT10, there's a really cool line of green Digimon that have a plant, vegetation, and fairy synergy. So let's go over that. So Palmon in my deck. So I do apologize. I don't have my second monitor working, so I'm guessing where how this is going to look on video, but I think that this is good. So Palmon, level 3 rookie. I'm running 4 BT10 Palmon. On play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with vegetation or plant in one of its traits, and 1 card with fairy and its traits among them to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So interestingly, all of the green Digimon in my deck, with the exception of Argomon and the level 6s, are vegetation. All my yellow Digimon in this deck are fairies. And then all my level 6s, so all my level 6 green Digimon are fairies. So everything 6 and below that's green and not Argomon is vegetation. Everything that's yellow is fairy. Everything that's level 6 is fairy. So Palmon can search for every card in this for every Digimon in this deck except for Argomon. So on play, you have an insane chance of getting at least 1 card, a pretty good chance of getting a fairy too. So if you get a vegetation and a fairy, then you can essentially draw 2 on play. So this is a very nice effect for this deck. I'm choosing this Palmon. So I'm running 3 starter deck 4 Palmons. So why am I choosing this? Because I wanted to have some green rookies that I can on-play, then some green rookies that I would like to digivolve onto my Digi-Eggs. And by digivolving onto my Digi-Eggs, I want something with an inheritable. So at least it gives me incentive to digivolve onto my egg, and when I do that, then I get the inheritable. I don't want to run too many on-play Digimon. I want to run some Digimon that I can just Digivolve onto my eggs, and then benefit from the inheritable later on. So for the Digi-Eggs I'm using Argomon BT2. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, gain 1 memory. This is pretty good, because in this deck, you are going to be suspending your Digimon a lot. And because of that, I'm going to expect them to unsuspend during your unsuspend phase, assuming that they live throughout your opponent's next turn. So after you suspend your Digimon and then your opponent's turn passes, hopefully your Digimon is still there, and then you're going to unsuspend it, and then you gain the memory from that. I think that this is the best egg of choice. I'm going to get to these yellow rookies in just a second. I'm running red Vegemon. It's a 3 cost, 3000 DP, level 4, Digivolves for 1. I'm also running Weedmon, 4 cost, level 4, 3000 DP, Digivolves for 1. It has an inheritable, but the inheritable does not matter in this deck. I'm running those 2 Digimon because of very specific reasons. So Sunflowermon, Ajatarmon, and yeah, I think it's just Sunflowermon, and Agitarmon. So when digivolving by suspending one of your green Digimon, you may play 1 Digimon card with vegetation, plant, or fairy in one of its traits, and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its play cost. So again, you can play 1 Digimon card with vegetation, plant, or fairy, and 3000 DP or less from your hand for free. because of Sunflowermon's Digivolve. And Edgetarmon also has a very similar effect. The main phase, once per turn, by suspending one of your green Digimon, you may play one Digimon card with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, and one of its traits, and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. So this whole first row of Digimon, with the exception of Kazemon, is 3000 DP or less, and it's either a Vegetation or a Fairy. So you have 2, 6, 9, 12, 16, 20, 24 Digimon that are playable by Sunflowermon's effect and Edgetarmon's effect. Obviously, when you have Sunflowermon and Edgetarmon on the field, you have less than 24 targets, but you're starting at with 24 eligible 3000 DP or less Vegetation / Fairy. So you will be able to play a lot of Digimon for free using Sunflowermon and Edgetarmon. So the inherited effect of Sunflowermon, your turn once per turn, when an effect suspends one of your Digimon, draw 1. Edgetarmon, inherited effect, once per turn, when an effect suspends one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory. So because there's so much synergy with suspending your own Digimon, of course, Argomon, the Digi-Egg, seemed to be the best choice. There may be other options, but I'm going to look at them later. I might have missed something. But I think that Argomon is the best one for this deck currently. So because you get benefits from suspending Digimon, I'm also using Argomon level 5 for Digisorption -3 and Blossomon level 5 for Digisorption -3. So the more that you suspend your Digimon, you benefit once you reach into your level 6s. And I'm going to go over that in a second. Argomon is also chosen because inherited effect, when attacking you may play one green level 3 Digimon card from your hand, suspended without paying its memory cost. So when you attack with your level 6, you can play a level 3 green Digimon suspended. And as I mentioned before, the level 6s do have benefits for you to want to play suspended level 3 Digimon. So first I'm going to go into Bloom Lordmon. It's a fairy. When digivolving, you may suspend one of your Digimon, then gain 1 memory for each suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of their traits that you have in play. If you gain 2 or more memory by this effect, unsuspend this Digimon and it gains Piercing for the turn. Your turn effect, for every 2 suspended Digimon you have in play, this Digimon gets 2000 DP and gains its security attack +1. So because of Argomon being an inheritable, if you swing with Bloom Lordmon, then you can get another suspended Digimon in play, so it boosts the probability that you're going to get plus 2000 DP and security attack, and this is for every 2 suspended Digimon you have in play. So it's possible that you have 3 in play, and then you swing with Bloom Lordmon, and then you get the 4th one that you're missing for the additional security attack +1 and an additional 2000 DP. But to go over why I'm using these yellow rookies, it has a pretty nice on-play effect. Tinkermon, on play, one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon gains security attack -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. Cutemon is just a pretty good card to splash in. Your opponent can't reduce Digivolution costs. If my understanding is correct, Cutemon is able to... Actually, no, I take it back. But Cutemon is just pretty good. It stops Digivolution cost reduction. So it is good against a mirror match if your opponent's playing Digisorption, or if they're playing hybrids that Digivolve for less, or if they're playing, I don't know, green hybrid, and then they're using JP Shibayama. But just, anyways, this is a pretty nice card to splash in. Tinkermon's pretty good to splash into. I am running yellow. I decided to go with a green and yellow build because I want to run Spiral Masquerade. So because this deck is very swarmy, and you're planning on getting out a bunch of Digimon to play for free, it just made so much sense to splash in Spiral Masquerade, or not splash in, but like focus on Spiral Masquerade. For each Digimon you have in play, activate the effect below. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. Security effect, activate this card's main effect. TK Takaishi. So TK's an interesting choice. I looked at the other yellow memory setters, and I think that TK is just the best. There is some risk involved in playing TK in a not mono yellow colored deck. So TK's on play effect. Look at your security stack, then reveal one card and add it to your hand. If that card is yellow, trigger recovery +1. Then shuffle your security stack. So TK's on play effect is mandatory. If you have a yellow card, then you can retrieve it, and then you recover +1. If you do not have a yellow card, you still have to retrieve something. So even if you look in your security stack and then all you see are green cards, you still have to take one out and reveal it, take it out, add it to your hand, but you do not recover +1. I'm running TK. It's a bit risky, but because you are running a fair amount of yellow cards, I'm going to expect that you're going to probably have one yellow card in security when you play TK. So TK is kind of a risk. I enjoy the risk. If you don't want TK, you can run a different tamer such as Kari Kamiya from BT8. Kari Kamiya is a pretty good memory setter. You sadly don't benefit from her being played. All she does in the deck is memory setting. But if you want less risk, go with Kari Kamiya. If you want more risk, possibly taking out Cutemon, taking out Tinkermon, Kazemon, I would say go with TK. TK's it offers more reward but more risk too. I'm also running TK Takaishi and Izzy Izumi. Start your main phase. If you have a level 5 or higher Digimon in play, gain 1 memory. If your opponent has a level 5 or higher Digimon in play, gain 1 memory. Your turn effect: when one of your Digimon digivolves into a yellow or green Digimon, you may suspend this tamer to have one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. I don't think that this is an amazing your turn effect by any means, but it is pretty good for you to be able to gain free memory. I did not forget about Lotusmon. Let me explain why I held Lotusmon off until the very end. So Lotusmon's pretty interesting. Lotusmon isn't too great for my build, so I'm only running 2 Lotusmon. Lotusmon is essentially just a flex card until spoilers for EX3 until you get Hydramon. So Lotusmon, when digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It doesn't unsuspend during your opponent's deck's unsuspend phase. That's a pretty good effect. The digivolve for 4 is kind of expensive, so I'm not too much of a fan of that. Opponent's turn, all of your other Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, and one of their traits gain, on deletion, gain 2 memory, and return 1 Digimon card with 3000 DP or less from your trash in your hand. So again, Lotusmon is pretty much just a flex option. If you want, you can run Samadhi Santi. I'm just running Lotusmon because I want an additional level 6, because I am running 9 level 5, so I really want to go into level 6. So Lotusmon is in my deck mainly just because I want to reach level 6. It does have a good digivolving effect, so even if it is a little costly, it is good to run. It's not amazing. Opponent's turn effect. So all of your other Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy. So you are running everything in your deck that is Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy. The thing is, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to target one of your other Digimon and delete it. There is an option for Lotusmon to be more reliable, but I don't want to run that in my deck. There's another Digimon, not like an option card, but like there's another Digimon that makes Lotusmon so much more reliable. I don't want to run that in my deck. I want to focus on Bloom Lordmon, suspending my Digimon, and so for that reason I'm using Argamon and Blossomon. But if you want more reliability with Lotusmon, if you want to focus more on Lotusmon, you should consider BT10 Cherrymon. So it's Digisorption -2. Once per turn effect during your turn when an opponent's Digimon attacks, you may switch the target of attack to one of your suspended Digimon. Okay, I feel like this is an error in translation. It says your turn, once per turn when an opponent's Digimon attacks. So obviously they can't attack during your turn, but I think that's just an error. But anyways, once per turn effect, when an opponent's Digimon attacks, you can switch the target of attack to one of your suspended Digimon. So coupled with Lotusmon, if you have a Cherrymon on the field, you can direct your opponent to target one of your suspended fairies and Vegetation. So for example, you have Tinkermon on the field suspended. Let's say you have a Tinkermon suspended. And then you have Lotusmon on the field. It's your opponent's turn. All of your other Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy has the on deletion gain 2 memory effect. And you also return one Digimon card with 3000 DP or less from your trash or hand. And you also have a Cherrymon. So your opponent attacks. It doesn't really matter which target they attack, because by using Cherrymon's ability, you are able to redirect that attack to your suspended Tinkermon. So Tinkermon is now the target of your opponent's attack. Tinkermon, being only 2000 DP, is probably going to be deleted after that attack. So essentially all of your Digimon that are suspended become blockers. But because Tinkermon is deleted, you gain 2 memory because of that, and then you can return one Digimon card with 3000 DP or less from your trash or hand. So interestingly, because Tinkermon has the on deletion ability, Tinkermon's sent to the trash. The on deletion ability is resolving as Tinkermon is in the trash. So I believe that even though Tinkermon is resolving the ability as is in the trash, I believe that you can take Tinkermon out as a valid target. I could be wrong about that ruling. I'm confident, but I'm not like too confident about that ruling. But anyways, with so many targets to choose from, you can choose Tinkermon, or you can choose a different Digimon to take out. But anyways, I don't want to focus too much on Lotusmon. Lotusmon could be good, but I would have to sacrifice one of these cards to throw into Cherrymon. It might be worth it, honestly. So instead of Digisorption -3, I have Digisorption -2, and I can take advantage of Lotusmon's ability, so it might be something that I could consider later on. But currently, I don't want to focus too much on it. I'm very excited about Hydramon in EX3. So when Digivolving, you may suspend one Digimon. All turns effect once per turn when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended. For each other suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, and one of its traits you have in play, gain 1 memory. End of your turn. Once per turn, if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, and one of their traits, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of its owner's deck. So this is pretty good, just because like every Digimon that you're playing is Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, with the exception of the level 5 Argamon. So even when your opponent suspends their Digimon for attacking, you pretty much have a gigantic ice wall on the field. So ice wall is pretty good. When your opponent's Digimon attacks, they lose 2 memory. Okay? And then with Hydramon, for each of your suspended Digimon, basically, you gain 1 memory when your opponent suspends their Digimon. So if you have 1, then you gain 1 memory. If you have 2 suspended, you gain 2. If you have 4 suspended, then when your opponent attacks you, then you gain 4 memory. Okay, that seems really good to me. It's also during your turn that this effect works too. So if you were to suspend your opponent's Digimon somehow, such as Samadhi Santi or with Lotusmon, if you choose to run Lotusmon or Samadhi Santi in your EX3 deck, then you also gain the memory for each of your suspended Digimon. I really like this idea. Now that I talked about it, I am considering running Cherrymon instead of Blossommon and giving Lotusmon more of a focus. So that is something that I'm going to consider. But again, I have like months until this deck comes out. I have like half a year pretty much. So I have so much time. Half a year? No, it could be maybe a quarter of a year. I'm not too sure about the schedule. I think BT9 comes out in July. I think BT10 comes out in the end of September or October. But anyways, it's like during the fall, so I have like at least 3 months to think about this. I forgot to talk about Kazemon, but obviously Kazemon's just a yellow hybrid. You don't want to Digivolve Kazemon onto your level 3 rookies. Instead, you want to Digivolve Kazemon onto TK Takaishi or TK Takaishi and Izuzumi, just for that special 2-cost sneak attack. I think the hybrids are pretty good. 2-cost sneak attack is pretty good. If you don't want to run too many Kazemons, you can take Kazemon out, run in Samadhi Santi, or pretty much anything else that you really want to splash in this deck. I think that this deck is pretty fun. This is the build that I'm probably going to be running. Again, I might just switch out Blossomon for Cherrymon, and I might have to take another look at the Digi-Eggs. There might be some Digi-Egg out there that really synergizes well with suspending Digimon. I know that there's Angoramon that has a pretty good effect whenever a card is suspended, which is pretty good because I'm not sure if it's your opponent's Digimon that's become suspended with Angoramon or your Digimon that has to be suspended, but it has a pretty good effect. But yeah, this is probably the list that I'm going to be running. I'm going to be updating this list later on as BT10 comes out. I might do a follow-up video, but if I don't make a follow-up video, just click on the link in the description, and then you'll be redirected to this page with my updated list. I didn't mention this before, but all my video profile videos have the link in the description. So even if I make minor updates or changes to the list, and then this video might not be current, then you can always check the website itself. Go on digimoncard.io, see my actual updated list in real time. But yeah, thanks again for watching my video. I'm very excited about running this deck, and I will see you later. Again, my second modder isn't working, so I have to like do everything on one modder, so it's a little bit more difficult, but I think that I made it in only 23 minutes.